Greetings, YouTube. Recently, the Catholic Church has officially decided that they can bless the unions of same-sex couples. Now, they're not endorsing treating same-sex marriage on the same tier level as different sex marriage, the traditional man-woman marriages. They're not saying that. They are not saying that gay people are equal to straight people. They're not saying that. They're just saying that that priests now have the option of blessing those unions. I've even heard some gay people say how happy they are about this. And let me preface, as I am a straight dude. I am a cisgender straight dude. So I am not speaking for anybody. But I am viewing this as an ex-Catholic. I am viewing this as someone that survived domestic abuse. Okay? So from my perspective, and I'm only speaking from my perspective, this seems a lot like being glad that you're only being beaten 1 day a week instead of 7. Yeah, being hit 1 day a week is much better than being hit 7 days a week. Take my word for it, it is. And you will do anything you can to reduce the amount that you are being beaten. You will learn all of the twisted and warped things that that person needs to have in their life just to keep them from hitting you. You will learn how to lie as easily as you breathe just to keep that person from hitting you. You will do this. It is how you stay alive. Being happy about it is fucking twisted. And that's what's bugging the shit out of me about this whole narrative about what the Pope has said. Because you know what else the Catholic Church blesses? Livestock and motorcycles. Yeah, you can have your livestock or your pets or your tractors or your motorcycles blessed by a Catholic priest. And so, to me, they are putting same-sex relationships into the same category as livestock and motorcycles. This is not a major progressive win to me. This is another example of Catholic hypocrisy. Remember, the Catholics will tell you that God loves all his children, that everyone is equal in the love of the Lord, except some are more equal than others. If you're a man, you're more equal than women. If you're a straight person, you're more equal than a gay person. If you're a cis person, you're more equal than a trans person. But they the Lord treats you equally, except not so much. Until your faith says everyone is equal, and you back it up with policy, you're just spewing bullshit. When women have all of the same roles in the church as the men do, I'll believe you. When gay people are treated exactly the same as straight people, I'll believe you. When trans people are treated exactly the same way as cis people, I'll believe you. Until then, it's bullshit. And you're trying to gaslight the world into thinking it's not bullshit. You are like, this is no different than the guys who say, well, not all men. You're correct. Not being a shithead is the default. So when you're not a shithead, that shouldn't be considered something that you get accolades for. You're just not a shithead. That should be considered the norm. Everyone should not be a shithead. So don't expect kudos and little gold stars when you're not a shithead. Don't think that, women owe you sex because you're not a shithead. You should just not be a shithead because that's what everyone who is ethical and moral should do. And you shouldn't be expecting, brownie points for not being a shithead. Well, the church seems to want brownie points for being less of a shithead. no, I am not going to give you brownie points for that. Will I say, yes, it's better than it was the day before the Pope announced this? Okay, I'll give you that. I should point out that that's a really small thing I'm giving you, because I'm not going to think of you as a moral entity until you, for real, treat everyone equally. And that is the baseline. So any entity, whether it's, sectarian or secular, that does not treat everyone equally within its structure, failing. You are just failing. It's the same in the U.S. We don't have equality under the law. We may have it written down on some documents that says everyone is treated equally under the law. Awesome. We all know those words are hollow, because in the real world, people aren't treated fairly under the law. So until your actions meet your words, I'm going to call your bullshit out. And I don't think the Catholic Church should get treated any differently. They are not worthy of your respect because they say we're going to treat gay people less shitty than we treated them yesterday. They're still treating them shitty. They've just decided to turn that down. They've turned the volume from like 11 to like a 7. Awesome. Keep doing that until it's at 0. And when you hit 0, then I'll finally give you some accolades. Now, I understand that there are people in the LGBT community that are happy about this, and I can understand why. Because again, it's a step in the right direction. But it's not the win that a lot of people seem to think it is. Because you're still not being treated equally by the church. And again, I'm not speaking for the LGBTQ community. This is something just I, as an ex-Catholic, am observing. Whenever people bring up Catholicism, so I always say, yeah, I was raised Catholic, but I got better. In fact, I became an atheist at age 5 when I realized the bullshit that the church was spewing at me. And I didn't become a theist until I was 22. I became an agnostic at 20. At 19, at around 22, I finally realized that I wanted to be a theist again because I felt a connection to the divine. But it sure as shooting wasn't because of Catholicism. I'm not a member of an organized religion, and I think organized religion is one of the greatest dangers to our species that there ever has been, because it's one of the foundational blocks of social conservatism, which is the greatest danger that's ever been exposed by our species. That's the worst contagion there is. Social conservatism is number 1. We get rid of that and a lot of the world problems will just vanish. So, yeah, I'm glad that the church has decided to be less shitty to a bunch of people in the world. But I would like them to be not shitty at all.